Hello friends, welcome to the session on compilers. In this session, we'll be discussing about context-free grammar. In this session, we will see what we mean by context-free grammar, how to define a context-free grammar, along with the examples of context-free grammar. Also, we will see how to write the leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation in context-free grammar. Friends, as you know that you are viewing this session on my YouTube channel Learn with Prakash Kanade and subscribe to the channel to see many videos on the subjects of electronics and computer science. So let us start the session with the question what we mean by context-free grammar. Now whenever we have any language, then in order to write the sentence in the language, we need to follow the grammar of the language. So every language has a certain grammatical rules, and these grammatical rules are to be obeyed whenever we write any sentence in the language. Say for example, when we write the sentence in English language, Ram purchased the car, then Ram is the noun and the purchase the car you can say is the verb phrase. So every sentence in the English language will consist of the noun phrase and the verb phrase. And these rules are to be followed whenever we write the sentence in English language. The grammar of the language can be describes the how to write sentence in the language, and the grammar of the language is being called as the syntax of the language. Programming languages are the special languages which are used to write programs whenever we want to do certain job with the help of computers. Programming languages also has some grammatical rules associated, and this set of grammatical rules is being called as the syntax of the programming language. The syntax of the programming language can be described by a grammar, and this grammar is being called as the context-free grammar or CFG. A context-free grammar is defined by the four tuples or four entities. A grammar contains the four entities. The first entity is being called as the set of terminal symbols, VT. Then there is a set of non-terminal symbols, VN. Then there is a start symbol, S. And then there is a set of productions, P. So VT will represent the set of terminal symbols. So as its name indicates, there is no further derivation possible for these terminal symbols. Terminal symbols can be represented by the small letters such as A, B, C. So the token that are being generated by the scanner, you can say that it is a set of terminal symbols. Also, the grammar will consist of a certain set of non-terminal symbols, VN. The non-terminal symbols, you can say they are the intermediate symbols. Non-terminal symbols are those symbols for which the further derivation is possible. Say, for example, the non-terminal symbols can be represented by the capital letters such as capital A, B, and C. Out of the non-terminal symbol, one symbol of the grammar is a start symbol. And this start symbol is also called as the goal symbol of the grammar. Every grammar will have a set of productions. It is a finite set of productions. Productions are just nothing but the rewriting rules of the grammar. And every production is of the form A is defined as x1, x2, dot, 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 xn, where A is a non-terminal symbol, x1, x2, xn can be either the terminal symbols or non-terminal symbols. The production rules that are used in the grammar are independent of any context, and they can be used to write the grammar of any programming language. And therefore, this grammar is being called as a context-free grammar. So now let us go for understanding the context-free grammar along with some example. Now suppose we have been given an expression grammar, and this expression grammar will consist of the following production rules. E is defined as prefix E is defined as VTAL, prefix is defined as F, prefix is defined as epsilon, tail is defined as plus E, or tail is defined as epsilon, where epsilon will stand for an empty string. So you can say that in this grammar, there are non-terminal symbols such as E, prefix, tel, V, and F. Also, there are certain terminal symbols such as plus and epsilon. Now, whenever we obtain any string by using the production rules of the context-free grammar, then this process is being called as a derivation. So it is possible that we can obtain many more strings by using this grammar. The derivation can be either 0 or more steps, and whenever there is a derivation of 0 or more steps, then normally it is indicated as S is derived as star B. So star will indicate 0 or more steps. Whenever there are one or more step in the derivation, then we normally indicate it by the symbol S is derived as plus beta, where the plus will indicate that there is at least one step in the derivation. There are two types of derivations. The first derivation is being called as the leftmost derivation, and another derivation is being called as the rightmost derivation. In the leftmost derivation, what we will do is that we will see the leftmost non-terminal symbol in the production rule, and that leftmost non-terminal symbol is being expanded by using the production. And whenever we write the leftmost derivation, then it is being indicated by arrow along with the word lm. So lm, that will stand for the leftmost derivation. For example, we want to obtain the leftmost derivation of the string f in the bracket v plus v. Suppose we have been given a grammar of having these production rules. E is defined as prefix E, E is defined as vtel, prefix is defined as f, prefix is defined as epsilon, tail is defined as plus E, and tail is defined as epsilon. Now, by using these production rules, it is possible that you can obtain the string f of v plus v. Now, the leftmost derivation can be written like this. Initially, we will start with the start symbol E, and then we will use the first production prefix of E. Now, prefix is the first non-terminal symbol on the left-hand side, and therefore it will be replaced by F by using this production rule. Now, we have the string F bracket of E. Further, we will replace this E, and this E will be replaced by using a production rule. E is defined as vtel. Then what we will do is that we will expand, or we will replace this tail by using the production rule. Tail is defined as plus E, and therefore we will get the string f of v plus E. Further, we will expand this E by using the production rule vtail. Then we will expand the tail by using the production rule. Tail is defined as an epsilon, but epsilon is an empty string, and therefore we will achieve the input string f of v plus v. So in order to achieve this string, these are the steps that are needed. And now we can say that this string belongs to this grammar, because it is possible to obtain this string by using the production rule of this grammar. And therefore, syntactically, this string belongs to this grammar. Leftmost derivation is very useful derivation because this derivation is used in the top-down parsing technique. Later on, we are going to discuss different parsers in which top-down parsing is one of the important parser. And in the top-down parsing technique, you will find that the leftmost derivation technique is used in order to check the syntax of the input string. The leftmost derivation can also be represented graphically. That is, whatever the steps that we have written over here, all these steps can be represented graphically by using the parse tree. Now we will go for the discussion of another derivation, and this derivation is being called as the rightmost derivation. In the rightmost derivation, what we will do is that the rightmost non-terminal symbol is to be expanded by using the production rule. And whenever we do the rightmost derivation, then it is indicated by the word Rm. Now, again, we will consider the same example. Suppose we have to obtain the rightmost derivation for the string f of v plus v. Suppose this is the grammar given to us. We are considering the same grammar that we have considered in the leftmost derivation. Now we can obtain the rightmost derivation for the input string. Again, we will start with the start symbol. E is defined as prefix of E. Now in this derivation, what we will do is that we will go from the right hand side and we will first of all expand the right hand side non-terminal symbol E by using the production rule vtail, and therefore we will write prefix vtail. Then tail is further expanded by using the production rule plus E, and therefore we will get the string prefix bracket of V plus V. Further, E is expanded by using the production rule vtail, and therefore we will get the term prefix bracket of V plus vtail. Then further tail is expanded by using epsilon, and therefore we will get prefix V plus V. And then finally, we will expand this prefix by using the production as prefix is defined as f, and therefore we will get the input string f of V plus V. So one can easily observe that by using the rightmost derivation, it is possible to reach to the input string f of V plus V, and therefore we can say that this string belongs to this grammar. Rightmost derivation is also a very useful derivation because rightmost derivation is used in the bottom-up parsing technique. In bottom-up parsing technique, we will find that the rightmost derivation is carried in the reverse order. The rightmost derivation can also be represented by a parse tree. So it is possible that the leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation can be both graphically represented by the parse tree or syntax tree. And these derivations are useful because they are used in order to determine whether the input string belongs to the grammar or not. So the syntax analysis can be performed by using these derivations. Now we will consider one more example where we have been given an arithmetic expression grammar consisting of the productions x is defined as x plus x or x star x or x or a. And suppose we have been given the input string a plus a star a, and now we want to obtain the leftmost derivation for this string. Now we can start with the start symbol. X is defined as x plus x, then the leftmost x is replaced by a by using the production rule, so that we will get a plus x. Then further the x is replaced by x star x by using this production rule. Then further the left hand side x is replaced by a, so that we will get the string a plus a star x. And further the next x is replaced by a by using this production rule, so that we will get the term a plus a star a. So one can easily say that this string belongs to this grammar. So syntactically, this string is a part of this grammar. Now, whenever we want to represent it graphically, then the step one can be represented by the parse tree like this, where x is being derived by using x plus x. In the step two, we will further derive x by a. In the step three, what we will do is that this x is being replaced by x plus x, x star x. Then we will replace this x by a, and then finally we will replace this x by a. So this is the complete parse tree that we obtained for the given string a plus a star a. Now let us consider another example where we will consider the assignment expression grammar having the different productions, such as assignment is defined as id is equal to expression, where id is defined as a or b or c. Expression is defined as expression plus term or term. Term is defined as term into factor or factor. Factor is defined as bracket of expression or id. Now suppose we have been given an input string a is equal to a plus b star c, then it is possible that we can obtain the leftmost derivation for this string, and this leftmost derivation is graphically represented here. So initially we will start with the assignment, which is defined as id is equal to expression, then the left hand side id is replaced by a, then the expression is replaced by term, then term is replaced by term star factor, then term is replaced by factor, then factor is replaced by expression, and the right hand side factor is replaced by id, and id can be replaced by c. Then the expression can be further replaced by expression plus term, where expression can be replaced by term, term can be replaced by factor, factor can be replaced by ID, ID can be replaced by A. Similarly, this term can be replaced by factor, factor can be replaced by ID, and ID can be replaced by B. So ultimately, we will have the expression A is equal to A plus B star C. So this is the parse tree for this given input string. And now we can say that the input string belongs to this grammar. So syntactically, the input string is correct as far as this grammar is concerned. So thank you friends for viewing the session. Hopefully you understood what we mean by context-free grammar and how to make the leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation by using context-free grammar. Thank you all for viewing the session.